You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So much like last year, Jay, we have a running back situation that is just unsettled. If we were driving a cruise liner through the ocean, we are in choppy waters. We've not yet hit smooth seas. So what do we make of Oklahoma's running back situation now that we're 3 weeks into the season?
Yeah, we need somebody to go ahead and jump out and be that number one, right? So I know a lot of people are asking for more Taylor Tatum. I want him to play as well.
Yeah.
The only problem you run into with Tatum is that whenever he's in the game, you know he's got to run the ball, right?
Yep.
Right? Or he's going to go out for passing because he hasn't been the best in run blocking yet. It's something that needs to be learned, especially when you're doing certain gap schemes, right? You're scheming up ways to help the offensive line, and that hinders a young running back who has to figure out ways to help with that, right? They got to know where to be at. They got to know how to block, views, check where their guy is, and then release quickly to where they can be an option for the quarterback. We haven't got to that point yet. Then you have Jovantae Barnes, who he's been taking some time. It takes a while for him to release from the backfield whenever he's looking for the blitz or looking for the dude that he's supposed to block. He's got to get better at that. Sawchuk has been very hesitant about hitting the hole before he ends up, getting tackled for a 1 yard gain or a 2 yard gain. It's not going to be sufficient. We need to get more to 4 or 5, more to 7 yard gains on a regular basis, or we need to break out and go a 66-yard touchdown like he used to do on a regular basis, right? We need stuff like that. And so for us, the big thing is we got to figure out who the wide receiver is that's going to take this by the horns, take the reins of this, and actually be the dude that owns it. I don't know who that's going to be, John, though. That's the big question. But I'll say this. Getting back Nic Anderson, like we talked about in the first segment, could really help the running back room a lot more than people understand.
Yeah, if teams are having to focus more on the wide receiver position because you have Deion Burks and Nic Anderson, it might open up a little bit more run lanes for the Oklahoma Sooners running backs. But, to your point, I think we just haven't found anything consistent, both in the blocking scheme, but also the running backs. They've not been consistent, whether it's in pass pro, run blocking, or just doing the basic running back thing, carry the football. Jovantae Barnes has been good at times, but at times he's run straight into the back of his blockers. Gavin Sawchuk, just again, you mentioned it. He seems hesitant when he's running, just getting downhill quick. He may not be picking up a lot of yards, but he's at least picking up positive yards. Taylor Tatum, I think we've seen some really good things. I just don't know if we've seen enough to warrant thrusting him into the RB1 role just yet. I think some of this gets fixed if guys like Branson Hickman are back, or if you get Troy Everett back, this week. I think that does help because you get a lot more experience at both guard and center, and that's going to make the offensive line better. But still, the running backs have to run with a little bit better vision. They got to run with a little bit better, contact balance and not go down on first contact. But I'm just hoping that it's not, the middle of the season like it was last year, where we are still trying to figure out who's the number one running back. Because I remember the debates all last year. Give me more Tawi Walker. Give me more Jovantae Barnes. Marcus Major's looking really, really good early in the season. Gavin Sawchuk's now back in the fold. We don't know, and nobody really knows who's going to be a lead back 1 week or the next. But I think we got to figure out a little bit of a hierarchy here. And if it was me that was deciding how I was going to play these guys, Jovantae Barnes would be getting my first snaps. I know they love Sawchuk's leadership. I know that he's a really good pass blocker. He's done good in pass pro. That helps. That matters. At the same time, I need my running back to be able to turn out some dirty yards, get 3-4 yards a pop. And Jovantae Barnes has been doing that. And then give me more Taylor Tatum. And if it's just in a pass catching role, or he's going to, if it's pretty obvious what he's going to do, it doesn't matter. The guy's so talented. Just get him the ball in space and let him run.
No, I totally agree. And with that, I'm wondering, and if anything, I'm kind of curious to see why we haven't seen really Sawchuk and Tatum in the two-back set, right? That probably will be a very intriguing setup. If we've been seeing Barnes with Tatum together, I'm curious to why we haven't seen Sawchuk with them, because I feel like that could even open up the run, right? That could probably even open up to where people will be keying in on Tatum. You can hand the ball to Sawchuk. he may be able to find a hole that he couldn't find before. Or you can get Sawchuk as his quote unquote lead blocker. Just, he can, run by the edge and, just graze him, knock him off of his spot, and then let Tatum run right up the middle and pick up some yards. We're just going to have to get super creative with the running back room for right now until somebody decides to say they're the number one back. I thought Sam Franklin would have done a little bit more than what he's done. We haven't seen much of him for the most part. It's just, unfortunately, it's a running back by committee again for DeMarco Murray. And I guess he's trying to see who can he trust. And right now, he hasn't seen anybody that's really trustworthy.
Yeah, and I think some of this comes from his experience in the NFL when he just kind of got ran into the dirt a little bit and how much that kind of took off of his career. But at the same time, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's just not a lot of trust from snap to snap down, and there's just no consistency right now. And again, maybe the offensive line health fixes some of this. Maybe just continuing to play these guys and further developing them will help that. But you got to get more than what we're getting out of the running back room right now. They've been solid. Thankfully, they're not putting the ball on the ground. They're protecting the football. Even if they're not getting good yardage, they're doing like the base level stuff. And that's a good thing, because it'd be worse if they were not getting a lot of yardage, but they were also fumbling the ball. They're at least getting you some dirty yards. And this last game, it was better than it was the week before. So maybe some, encouraging signs out of the running back group, but still we need more, right? It's Kylo Ren. I need more. I need more out of him. But thankfully also Jackson Arnold is looking really, really good in the run game, especially the read option game, because as he gets better at that and teams are having to actually pay attention to him and respect his running ability, that might even open up some things for Gavin Sawchuk, for Jovantae Barnes at the mesh point when he's like, he's got the ball in the belly and they're trying to decide who it's going to be. Well, they can't just jump on the running back now because Jackson Arnold might scoot for 40 yards in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I agree. That's where you have to respect him, and that's where he helps that run game. Just like you said, you can't just put it this way, he's going to run the ball now. At this point, the competition for the next two games from Tennessee and Auburn, they're going to look at this and say, yeah, Jackson Arnold's going to run, right? I mean, ESPN even pointed out he was the number one dual threat quarterback in his class. He's going to run the ball. And at this point, you kind of need him to, right? Like, I know a lot of fans are a little concerned about him running it, and he always runs right into people. I do need him to do a better job of, sliding or avoiding getting big hits. But him running the ball, yeah, give me more. Inject that into my veins. We need him to do a lot more of that just to create that to where teams have to, because that extra blocker, him just being running by himself, that's tough for teams, right? Because they're not always going to have a free guy running right at him whenever he can find a way to fake him out. And the good thing is that if they decide to go after him and he hands the ball off, the running back should be able to break and be gone. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for. We need some home run runs. We get a home run, hit run coming soon. All the complaints about the offense goes away. But at the same time, we'll get why weren't we doing that before? As if, everything is just that simple.
Yeah, we just need some more consistency. Pop a big run here and there. That definitely will certainly help. I think, again, they're heading in the right direction, but they got the biggest test of the season this week against Tennessee when the Vols come to town. Got some big recruiting updates coming up. Cortez Mills, Floyd Boucard, we'll discuss at Locked On Sooners.